We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Minkah Fitzpatrick, Miami Dolphins defensive back, and he had an elite game versus the Saints. I think people watching it live can notice that. You go and turn on the film, and it was as good as it gets from Minkah. Pretty much since they had that injury early on in the year with Jason Marshall at nickel. Cater Coe getting hurt in training camp. They've really bumped Minkah's playing time in the slot up a lot, and playing in the nickel in this game is where he had pretty much almost all of his elite plays and has been playing at a high level as a nickel for Miami. And I actually think that's where he should play mostly in the future for him. He's doing a lot of solid stuff there. He can still do safety, but I think when he's playing safety, he's playing more around average. Still, has that versatility to do a lot of things for you. But if he is a long-term piece for this team, which we still don't know quite what their plan is for Minka yet, because they do have some cap things they need to figure out in this offseason, he should be someone that should be playing a lot of nickel snaps because I think it allows him to be more involved. I think it shows off more of his instincts, his athleticism. You're just more involved in the run fits as well on a play-to-play basis. He's coming downhill, making plays underneath zone too. I feel like is where his his zone ability is at his best. Just constantly being in the right position. Great communication, very good leader, which is nice. I love seeing him constantly communicating pre-snap and post-snap while those guys out there. And I also think getting him nickel snaps will then translate to Dante Trader getting more safety snaps, which is a positive. Here, biggest play of the game. Man-to-man. I actually think Minka's been your best coverage guy all year in man-to-man. Better than the corners, better than all the other safeties. The best cover guy on the team. Going against Devon Vele, who, having a good game against Miami, had 90 yards receiving a touchdown. And Minkah just undercuts this, running this shallow cross across the field, and he just takes the perfect angle, stays in phase. Notice how he just fully commits. He's on Vele, and once he gets in position, his eyes then get to the quarterback, which allows him to get in that spot, and now he's just gone. And this plays the play of the game because you get I guess you would call it a pick two because it goes for 2 points, which gave you the 4-point lead. If you don't get the 4-point lead, the Saints then just kick a field goal. You would only add a 2-point lead after they recovered that onside kick, and that was a huge moment. Also had another turnover in the game on the blitz. Minka coming off the edge. I think this is a fun usage because he said in an interview this is his first career sack and said he just never really blitzed in Pittsburgh. I'm glad we at least got this season with Minka because we never got quite to, Dolphins originally drafted him and they never got to really. I always, Minka was one of my favorite prospects in that draft. So I was really excited when they got him, and then it just didn't work out, not because of his skill, just because of, the Flores issues. But it's just nice to at least get him back to see what he could have done in Miami. And I've always liked him playing more as that nickel star role, because that's what he did in college for the most part, not truly playing as a deep safety. You blitz him off the edge, you get to see that closing speed right there, get around the edge, good feel for the football, good instincts, go for that ball, swipe it out as well, which is always a positive. He's just a football player, man, making plays in that area. And you're seeing, we just saw a pick six, we saw a fumble on a forced fumble on a sack, and then we see a play where they run jet sweep to his side, and he's setting the edge against tight ends who are trying to block him and making tackles for losses in the backfield, doing a phenomenal job just understanding his responsibility as the force defender to the outside here. Doesn't want to allow him to get out there. And this is a really good force work because this guy constantly keeps trying to press up and then bounce it back out. Press up, bounce it back out, and Minka's just holding it down the whole time, and then him and Sealer converge on the guy to make that tackle. He does a really good job playing top down, so in these longer situations, I think this is a 1st and 20. Minka playing as that seam hook in a cover two, so more of that Tampa 2, he's middle of the field, going deep, and he's just a seam hook drop defender. He gains depth to take away, this potential area of the field. If he breaks inside, he has that. Then they dump it underneath and just look at the nice little short area quickness, get downhill, make a tackle, limit that to a 4-yard gain. Yeah, it was a 1st and 20. So you keep it 2nd and 16, exactly what you want to do in that spot, in those top down situations. And he's just doing a good job. In these situations, the Saints are condensed here, and they're stacked up with a receiver and a tight end, and Minka just off the ball, boom, the guy that's on the line of scrimmage, get hands on, disrupt route timing, and then pass it off. So this can disrupt route timing on Olave, who's a good route runner, their best receiver, kind of throws off that timing, makes it easier on the DBs behind him, and then he also then finds the number two receiver who ends up becoming the number two. They're kind of stacked, but uh, kind of there, take away that throw, and then also be in position where the running back, if he does come out to the flat late, you can still close down on that, leveraging multiple routes, and the ball goes the opposite way, even though the quarterback initially looked his way. And then, like, another good play, disrupting timing. He's man to man on Veli, who's in the backfield, lined up as like an off ball tight end. Like, he is in the C gap here, and he runs like a C gap insert across, gonna run like that crosser right there on the C gap insert. Very difficult route to cover if you watch the Rams do it really well. They usually do it out of like a motion. And when they're in this spot, it's super hard to be physical in this area because Minka gets up and plays it like it's going to be a run. He sees his play action, but then disrupts that timing and then gets back, open those hips, and gets right in phase. And this is where Shuck is trying to go with the ball. You can see this is like the initial read. Play action, try to hit that over route in the middle of the field. That's taken away completely. And then this is where they end up getting the sack on him, that Zeke Bigger sack, and that was a pretty much a coverage sack forced by Minka in that spot because he really took away that first read, which was like the main thing that they're trying to get done. Another sort of third and long situation, and I just love how he's playing this. Like, gain depth, know the situation. Get your eyes on the receiver. Some of these guys are playing like truly just reading the QB's eyes, and you can really get lost in manipulating that spot. So just like get to the receiver, get hands on, pass that guy off to the corner, and then see the guy working into your zone. Flip your hips back open. If this ball is thrown, you're in that window to take it away. And then now the QB has to drop it down because they're getting a pressure up front, and then everyone's able to rally to it. Just Minka doing his job multiple times. Here's another one. Gaining depth in Tampa 2, where he's that seam hook defender. This is an area of the field where teams want to attack Tampa 2. They run basically a clear out here, and you get the 7 behind it. You're running some sail, and they're trying to get this behind here. But since Minka gains so much depth, this would have been open. Typically, this is where you attack Tampa 2, or cover 2 in particular, because you got the deep half and the flat. But since he gains so much depth to take this away, Shuck can't go there. And then Minka has such good transitional ability. He's able to sink those hips, get downhill in a hurry, and like really good closing speed, and then makes that tackle. Limit that to like a 4 or 5 yard gain in a spot where you were basically like 15-ish yards away from where the guy's catching, and even longer than 15, which is just a super impressive play. And he's just making plays all day long. He can disguise stuff. He's back here in a situation where he could either rotate back, like this when he's lined up here, he could doing a lot of different things in coverage. But that disguise ability, he can come downhill, get hands on that receiver. They're stacked. He is the flat defender to this side of the field in cover 3. He sees the number 1 go across, and now eyes are in here. Get hands on to kind of make this guy get rerouted a little bit without getting like truly illegal contact because he's not super disrupting him. And then once he sees like he's working to the inside of him, he can pass that off, identify the running back coming out of the backfield, take that away, and then the quarterback ends up running it. He goes over there, make a tackle if he needs to. Guy ends up sliding, but he's just doing his job in a lot of these coverage situations. Here's another communication, third and long. He's communicating with Trader. He passes off Olave with what's going on. Juwan Johnson stays in. He passes off to Olave. Trader's in perfect position there. Minka gains depth. If he works back outside, he can take that away. Doesn't need to fly downhill instantly because it's third and long. If he flies downhill, Olave might work back out, or this guy could break in. Puts his team in, a tougher spot if he does that, but he stays where his responsibility is. Once he sees a pass down to the flat, close space, make that tackle, limit it. Very, very good play. This was pretty much his only negative play all game long, and it's actually a good job of like the initial part. Like he plays it top down. He's doing his thing. He's reading the QB. He breaks very well. He transitions. He gets exactly where he needs. He just misses the tackle. It's like literally his only negative play of the game was missing that tackle. And I think he ends up getting a little banged up on that play right there when he misses that tackle too, which was unfortunate, but he came back like a play or two later. But literally that was like the only negative play he had all game long and had some insanely impactful plays. So shout out Minka doing a great job in the nickel spot for Miami, which they desperately needed with all the injuries they've had, and pretty much just have not had a nickel corner like the entire year. Like once Cater Kogo got injured in training camp, and they cut Mike Hilton, who was those were pretty much the only guys on the roster in training camp that had nickel like true nickel experience. And they cut Hilton. Cater got hurt. They tried to, put Marshall in the slot where he's never played before, and then he also got hurt. And it was just like, Minka, you are now the nickel in three safety sets. You're still playing a bunch of safety, but it's a lot of nickel, and he's played very, very well in that spot. So if you guys enjoyed the video, comment and subscribe. Peace.